my dad went to the United States for opportunity.
Yep.
But in turn, my husband and I have come back for freedom. And I think that there's a balance between opportunity and freedom that neither Americans or Africans are having jointly. When we talk about this idea of Ghanaians looking at us saying, why would you ever want to leave the West? There's so much opportunity, there's so much there.
Yeah.
And not understanding that in order to have access to that opportunity, you have to accept systemic racism. You have to accept overt racism.
Yeah.
You have to accept micro slights, microaggressions, media that shows you in only a couple of very specific ways that you are constantly bombarded with who you are and that you are
and
cast
it's so strong. It's so prevalent.
I remember Tony and I got pulled over once for driving while black. And I was like, I don't even understand why he would pull me over. Can you believe this? And Tony was like, you're black. I was like, no, that is not it. And he looked, he's like, it's because you're black. And I was like, well, but that doesn't.
Yeah, that's not right.
Right?
So great to have you here. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm ready for all the questions that you have.
Okay, so let's crack on. Let's go. Okay. So Ayo Jones, can you kindly tell us your background and where you're from?
I was born in Atlanta, and my dad is a Ghanaian and my mom is an American. So I started traveling to Ghana when I was just 1, and I know that kind of gives you the context for it. We grew up in the Midwest mostly, I guess, middle class, biracial family, and always very connected to the history of our families on both sides. I swore to myself I was never going to be a teacher and ended up in public education and and kind of have cultivated my presence there and specifically advocating for inclusion of individuals with disabilities and inclusion in the broader sense as well.
Okay, great. So I just want to just delve in a bit. So your father's from Ghana. Which part of Ghana is he from?
Well, my dad is actually Ghanaian and Nigerian, which is why I have a Nigerian name. And a lot of people are like, whoa, hold on, you're not Ghanaian, you have a Nigerian name. But my dad's mother was a market woman here in Ghana, and successful one, but
they usually are.
Just a market lady. And my father's father was a Nigerian who unfortunately passed when he was quite young. So he never really spent too much time in Nigeria. He mostly grew up here with his mother.
In Accra?
Yes, in Accra. And so he went to school here. He worked at the Bank of Ghana. I mean, like he kind of had, really very much rooted here. And decided that he wanted to go to the United States to go to school. And so he went for education and stayed for quite some time. And every year, without fail was like, this is the last year for me. I'm going home.
Right. There comes a time when home is calling.
It never ended. And then one day he really did. He just was like, I'm done. I'm going home. And in 2000, he moved back. So it was about 35 years in the States.
Is Daddy still with us?
You know, he is not. He's actually the reason we moved here. So he moved here in 2000. We'd come to visit with the children. I brought my husband for the first time in 2016 and again in 2019. And he literally fell in love with the place and the space. And the relationship between my dad and my husband was actually, I think, in a sense, stronger than the one between...
Interesting.
I know. They were just like peas and carrots. Just, they would sit and just vibe on so many different topics, and just in such a way that was so kind of copacetic that, I don't know, I feel like maybe that was his favorite child.
Is that Ayo who?
Yes,
you know, just like Tony.
Sometimes it felt like that. We would be stateside and my dad would call and Tony would talk to him for like
hours.
An hour. And I'd be like, hello.
I know.
So I'd get the phone, hey, Pop, how you doing? He's like, okay, good, good. Yeah, yeah, I gotta go. And I'm thinking,
Wow.
But,
Okay. Well, that's a nice
yeah,
relationship that they cultivated.
it
Clearly.
was. That was actually largely the reason that we ended up moving here. My dad was very much our whole lives an advocate of knowing where you've come from in order to know who you are in this moment, what you stand for, and where you're going to.
Absolutely.
And to him, you could never frame that without knowing your history.
100%.
And right, so it was always very much in our household knowing about Ghana, knowing, I mean, there was a picture of Kwame Nkrumah on the wall in our house. You know,
Very
it was just,
necessary.
we always were very rooted in the fact that we, even though we lived in America, we're not Black Americans. Like that was a conversation that directly and indirectly was always happening in our household.
Interesting.
And so
we'll delve into that a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
And so my husband, who's full-on Black American, didn't have that same reference point, didn't have that same understanding of history and self and connection, because that comes from the textbooks that don't tell the whole story.
Sure, it's intentionally curated.
Right.
Yeah.
So when my dad and my husband got together, the conversations just started of like, you have to know yourself by coming here, and my grandchildren need to know themselves by being here.
Fantastic.
And so the two of them cooked up this
then
little...
I can imagine how they're now, as you say, like two peas in a pod.
Yes. So we actually came in 2020, as soon as the borders opened after the COVID lockdowns. And we were here about 2 months, and then my father passed.
Oh.
And very unexpectedly, you know, he went to work on Friday and he passed on a Monday. And it just, yes. And we had kind of moved here with the intention of being able to have this time
with him,
right? Because he'd been gone from the States for so long that we'd had that void, and so it was just very.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You know, I think he did what he'd always intended, which was to build to build a connection and bring that back. And while we had intended to only come for 2 years to just kind of spend time, that conversation had to happen very early. At 2 months was, what is the real intention of this journey? Are we here because we're having a little, you know, a little adventure? Right. Or are we rethinking
more meaningful
life?
Than that?
Right. So we had to have that conversation very early. And I'd like to say that it was we came to a sound decision right away, but we didn't. Every day was kind of like, and so even now we're still kind of having evolving conversations about how we want to cultivate this, because my dad went to the United States for opportunity. But in turn, my husband and I have come back for freedom. And I think that there's a balance between opportunity and freedom that neither Americans or Africans are having jointly to understand these two different
and they're so critical. They're so critical, that balance of, you know, opportunity, because again, people are, you know, the whole Jakpa, people are leaving Ghana or leaving the shores of Africa to seek, you know,
opportunity. To seek opportunity. And I think we don't have enough conversation about how that opportunity comes at the expense of your freedom. And you sigh because you know, and it is very loaded. And I consider myself to be a first gen, like I'm a kid of an immigrant. And this is a very common immigrant story, that we see people leave their home country and they go into spaces for opportunity, mostly for opportunity. But there's never a larger conversation of that opportunity cost.
It's taxing.
It is. And I think what's even a little kind of more nuanced is, once you've gotten that opportunity, what do you bring back to your home country, or do you go back? And so there's such a push to kind of integrate and be a part of your new homeland.
Yes.
I always caution, though, not to let go of the connection,
roots.
The root,
absolutely,
the place that you came from, not just for you as an immigrant, but for your children and your children's children, because that identity, it's a big one.
I mean, people, again, as you said, you know, the whole opportunity and freedom, people, as you said, you know, they're going to seek greener pastures. And I feel that you need to travel in
Yes.
order to expand your worldview and, you know, see how different cultures, you know, immerse yourself in different cultures. And all of that is really, really important. But when I came, I wouldn't say came back, I wasn't born here, you know, so I came just to, you know, understand my Ghanaian heritage and culture. And people thought, are you okay?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yes.
see, are you there? Because everybody's running the opposite direction. And it's been conversations that I've been having a lot with regards to, okay, yes, I was there. And some people may say I was fortunate. For me, I lacked that, you know, that balance with regards to like my cultural heritage. That's why I wanted to come home.
Right.
However, there is that dichotomy of, well, I'm coming for opportunity, but what are you losing?
Yes.
You know, because that 5 day a week, some people work 7 days a week. They may not be getting the, you know, the salaries that they need,
Well,
it's a lot.
It's even more than just that. You know, there's a couple different things that you kind of covered very quickly in what you've just said that actually require a lot of unpacking.
Yes.
And part of that is the initial conversation of, are you okay when you decide you want to leave? And that really speaks to how we have internalized stereotypes and a kind of alternate understanding of the spaces to which we've come from. When you talk to Americans, Black Americans, about their history before 400 years ago,
Right.
they don't have a very good understanding or reference point of that. They think of it very hut
Right.
with
that
the spear and, you know, a loincloth and flicking. Very primitive. And they think that primitive culture is what still exists today. They haven't had any understanding of how the evolution has happened here on the continent. And therefore, they can't see themselves in this space.
Right.
And I think that lack of understanding on both sides, like even on the continent, the understanding of what the American experience is kind of pop culture, right?
Yes,
like
very much so, because you see it on screen, you know, and
Exactly.
it's such a strong presence that you have.
Exactly.
Oh, you know, Black Americans have, you know, it's just like, okay, well, you know, that's it.
I mean, we are the culture. When we talk about American culture,
and I have to give it to you. I do have to give it to you. I do have to give it to you. Yeah.
But that lack of understanding on both parts means that people are having conversations and understandings with only part of the information. The other thing that you said that I thought was amazing was that people need to travel to not only understand the space that they're in, but also the opportunity that exists for them. But passport holdership, both here in Ghana and in the US, is actually quite low. And when we talk about Black Americans, it is extremely low. Black Americans—
That surprises me.
we are not— Americans at large are not compelled to travel generally. We're kind of seeing a shift with the younger generation because social media has allowed us to see different spaces. And so we kind of open up to this idea. But when we look historically at the possession of passports, Americans at large, and then possessions with Black Americans, it's actually quite low. And to me, it really speaks to this idea of, you are lucky for what you have. Why would you ever want to leave?
Right.
And that idea, we internalize that. I really think, like, as a Black American, you internalize this idea of like, this is as good as it can ever be, right? This is all that I'm entitled to have, and I should be thankful for it. And I think that feeds into the conversation, like you're saying, right? People were like, oh, you're crazy. Well, of course, that we've all been fed this idea, like, you have a UK passport, you have an American passport, you have a German passport. Why would you ever
exchange
what more
that?
are you
What do you
possibly
want?
looking for? And I think that feeds into this conversation that kind of goes back to this idea of my dad and my husband. You know, is it opportunity or is it freedom? Which is the life that is the one you need the most? Which one is the one that's going to drive your behavior?
What's more weightier? And again, you know, given the environment that we're in, I mean, I know things change economically and politically, you know, every 4 years, but people are, I think, generally coming for freedom with regards to, you know, just okay, I'm in the motherland. This is where I'm supposed to be. There are people that look like me. Just that overall sense of belonging.
Yes, absolutely.
However, people are also seeing opportunity as well because we are growing, and so people are making a fortune, literally a fortune, just trying to understand the terrain and
Yes.
and connecting. I think with locals because I think sometimes there's a feeling that, when people come from the diaspora, they don't really connect or identify or see what opportunities there are and identify, and actually communicate with the local
Yes.
people because sometimes there's also that bucking of heads, right?
Well, when you try to tap into this idea, I've seen a lot when we talk about people in the diaspora coming home, especially here in Ghana, this kind of idea that they like to self-isolate or that they don't want to be a part of the community. And we have to remember that just really feeds back to the baggage that they've been required to carry by being in these spaces where you have to insulate to protect yourself. You have to keep your circle small because you're trying to...
Right, you want to navigate and survive, and the best way that you can do is to keep...
Well, it's not the best way, but it's the way we've been taught to do it. And there's just so much baggage that you have to put down when you leave the West. And some people, I think, struggle with the fact that they don't really have to carry those things. That's not the armor that you need here. And that kind of feeds into everything you were just talking about.
Because I did work with somebody a few years ago and, we were very open with her and, just bringing her into the fold. And, we're a community, right?
Yes.
If you need something, I may not be able to provide it, but I'll be able to find somebody else that can support you.
Right.
But as time went on, we were just realizing that she just wasn't letting, an African-American lady, she just wasn't letting go of this baggage. And she thought that everybody was against her and, concocting certain stories. And it got to the point where she even thought that I was like ready to plot against her. I'm like, well...
Are you not plotting against her?
It was very bizarre. It was so bizarre. And so, I was, I've had to tread carefully.
Well, and that's the through line, right? When we talk about this idea of Ghanaians looking at us saying, why would you ever want to leave the West? There's so much opportunity, there's so much there.
Yeah.
And not understanding that in order to have access to that opportunity, you have to accept systemic racism. You have to accept overt racism. You have to accept micro slights, microaggressions, media that shows you in only a couple of very specific ways that you are constantly bombarded with who you are and that you are
and
cast
it's so strong. It's so prevalent.
It doesn't allow you that freedom that people have in different spaces here. And so that is a direct exchange. And it's not for everybody and it's not universal. I think what my dad was my parents at large, I'm not going to say just my father, because my mother as a white American, Irish, Canadian woman, it was always very much about you as an individual are empowered. You as an individual can be who you want to be. There is no rule who you have to be because of your gender or your race or your heights or your looks. Like you are always empowered to be you. And my parents were very good about cultivating that feeling inside of all of us.
Amazing.
And it's not easy to do. And we, when my dad first came to the US, he had nothing, like a couple dollars in his pocket and that's it. And so we have lived in poverty. We have lived in kind of a middle class, maybe upper middle class at times. Like we kind of have run the gamut.
Sorry, do you have siblings?
Yes, I'm one of four.
Okay.
4 plus. I have one cousin who kind of grew up with us.
Lovely.
So I always call him my brother. But but for all of us, I think I'm the oldest. So I think more than my siblings, I remember when we lived in poverty.
Right.
And even then, even when we were living like truly in the ghetto, with like nothing.
People need to recognize that. Yeah.
Well, and I think people see me
Yes.
and hear and talk to me and think, oh, I must have lived a privileged
Of
life.
course.
Of course.
That's what I'm saying. People really need to hear that. People really need to hear that.
When I tell Tony where I grew up, he's like, ooh, you were in the ghetto. Like even he's like,
Ghetto.
oh, right? And I'm like, yeah, they stole my bike the first day we moved in. I went inside to get a drink of water and my bike was gone.
Oh my gosh.
But we, even when we were sitting in a place where it was like, we truly, and I'm not even joking, had nothing.
No.
We were told to be prideful of who we are, that we were a proud people, that our circumstance did not define us,
you,
right? That this is part of our journey that is only one stop on a journey. It's not the destination.
It's the process.
And so it was always that. I mean, I can remember coming back from school and talking slang, right, in my house, and my dad was like, no. It was so important for him that we were going to be people who could navigate in lots of spaces.
Good.
And so even at that, he was like, no. Just like, stop.
Yeah. It's not in this house.
No.
Yeah. Not in this house.
And education was so important too, that we had a foundation to be who it is that we chose to be.
Yes, because it gives you the choice.
And so that was all fundamental to it. And again, it's something that is very inherent in the fact that he was not a Black American. Because I can tell you that those same conversations are not prevalent in every Black American's home.
Sure,
this idea that like, yes, I know we don't have anything right now.
Yeah.
This is not the end for us. We're, there's no...
Yes, there wasn't, like you weren't, as you said, you weren't defined by your circumstances. And because he knows, where he's from and, the culture and also your mother, she's also from various places on the globe. You weren't, physically you were tied there, but emotionally and mentally,
never.
There wasn't that clearly in your household.
And our circumstance for our family was not defined as a symptom of our race. Inside of our household, that was not part of that conversation. Right. So it's just really interesting when I look at the experience of my husband, who's Black American, can trace his family back to plantation life, right? Versus me, my dad, who used to say, we came on a plane and not a boat. So there is a difference.
Yes.
The experience of us growing up we actually grew up in the same city, the two of us, even though we didn't know.
Oh, amazing.
But we did grow up in the same city. The experience that we had was so very different.
Right.
And I don't say this to discount the Black American experience. He had a strong community, people were looking out for one another.
Sure.
But it was protectionist. And it was thought of as being very protectionist. And I think that feeds back into this idea of, even though you're in a land of opportunity, are you truly free? Are you taught to embrace that freedom? And are you allowed to exercise the freedom that you are promised as part of that social contract in that space?
Indeed.
And I think when you are a person of a certain skin tone, that it's something we're told, but that we don't live.
Yes, I mean, that great American dream, that if you can make it in America, you can make it anywhere. And I think, again, in today's climate, the last, I don't know. I was born and raised in the UK, but of course I've been in Ghana for many years now, and the UK has changed with regards to its political and social and economical climate. But I think for me, Obama, things had changed pretty drastically from a British eye with regards to, if he was getting a lot of backlash, if he was, dragged every minute, of the day, how free or how, less discriminatory are we, as a nation. So I think that was a bit of a wake-up call for me with regards to seeing how the US has changed with regards to, its social and political biases.
I even think as you push that narrative forward in time, and you take a look at the political campaign of the last election cycle in the States and the outcome and the impact of those decisions on I feel like I don't want to talk politics, but it's like I'm very obviously talking about
I know,
politics.
but we will just sprinkle it in.
But I think when you look at how quickly companies and systems and school environments were able to pull back on progress
Quickly.
and so quickly, it makes you then ask, were those freedoms ever real? Were those freedoms real, or were they the really
facade.
nice wallpaper we put on a wall of segregation
Yes.
or a wall of racism? But we put some really nice wallpaper on it so that you didn't really know.
Yep.
But behind the surface, those things were still there.
Yeah.
The lack of opportunity in terms of education, the impact of redlining and gerrymandering, the access to healthcare, the healthcare outcomes for Black women versus white women. And when you really start to think of the impact of your race in a place where you're free,
supposedly,
you have to question, is this really is this the kind of freedom that I want? Is this what freedom really means to me? And when we pivot to the idea of like leaving all of that in exchange for a place like Ghana, and believe me when I tell you, we started our YouTube channel because when we talked about coming to Ghana, people thought we were dying. They were like, what? Are you crazy? Like, why would you even do that? Just people were just like.
And that was 5 years ago.
That was 5 years ago. 2019 was when we really started having that conversation.
Okay.
And that was when we started the channel, because it was like, well, let's just document it and show people what it's like so they know we're not dying, or like, you know, we're not going into the bush and living some kind of, I don't know what they think.
So did you started documenting before you left?
We did.
Okay.
We did.
Okay.
We started documenting before we left. We had come back from the 2019 trip and really kind of like put the wheels in motion now. Like
that was your
we
catalyst.
have a date, we have a timeline, we're getting our ducks in a row and getting ready to make the move. And so we started it before we moved so that we could kind of document what this whole thing was like for us. And I really can't understate the shock when people heard that we were going to leave our middle-class life in America.
Had everything figured out there.
And go to Ghana.
Africa.
I mean, it's not even Ghana. It was really just Africa, because it's like Africa is just this one big,
of course,
one big country of Africa. And so that shock was really kind of one of those things too, where I was like, people are weird. And it's just that lack of awareness, that lack of understanding, that lack of ability to see into and pull out of. But then we get the same thing when we're here and we speak to Ghanaian people. I have people in my family who've been here, you know, and they're like, why would you come here? We're trying to get out. And I'm like, why would you get out? We're trying to come here. And so that conversation, that narrative, I think is where we kind of get stuck with one another.
Yeah.
And I really feel like there's opportunity in opening that conversation up to say, in a realistic way, like, what are you exchanging for what?
Yeah. It's interesting because you know, the whole, I don't understand why you're leaving the US. Did you get that predominantly from your husband's family? Since, did they, how were they with regards to that move of him leaving, since he's an African American? Did you get any, there was any tug of war or any?
My Ghanaian people, my Nigerians, my Jamaicans, all of my people who either were immigrants or first gens, they were like, we can't wait to go back. Like,
really?
Right? They were like, I send money home to build my house. Like they're
in the process of building and just
they want to go back. Even though some of them have married Americans and maybe the American counterpart doesn't want to go back. They're like, but I'm still building.
I'm still building that house. Absolutely.
Right. The Americans that I knew were all kind of very much like, huh? Right? Just a lack of understanding. And even my white family members were kind of like, I mean, for permanently, like still a little bit like, really? Is that? But for Tony and his family, like before Tony and I traveled together, he didn't have a passport. He'd never been out of America. He'd never imagined going to Africa or like, even on a vacation would like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
So his family still is very much of that same note where it's like, we've been at 5 years we've been here inviting people like,
you've been here for some years now.
Yes, come and visit. And they're all like, no. And And I think that's why I think he started the tour company. He's like, he really just wants people.
Fantastic.
You have to come here and see what it's like to put the baggage down and walk in this space and be in your Blackness and be okay
And be
in
present.
your Blackness,
Yes.
right? Like to feel the freedom of not having a skin color.
Exactly.
Or at least not having your skin color define
everything about you. Yeah.
Because when he had that, it literally was like, well, how do you go back now? How do I go back, and how do I go to the airport and pick up this invisible luggage and then walk through all of life knowing there's a place that I can just be I can just be a man and not a big black man or a scary black man or a insert explicatives here, black man. I mean,
yeah.
And for me, I'd never known that. And so when he said that, I was kind of crushed a little bit, because I was like, it occurred to me that the baggage he carried was going to get handed down to our kids, and
we just don't realize it
without even realizing it. And the more I kind of sat in that space where I was like, I'm going to let him hand that luggage to the kids and then ask them to carry that.
No.
When I didn't, and I literally didn't. I remember Tony and I got pulled over once for driving while black. And I was like, I don't even understand why he would pull me over. Can you believe this? And Tony was like, you're black. I was like, no, that is not it. And he looked, he's like, it's because you're black. And I was like, well, but that doesn't.
Yeah, that's not right.
Right? I just grew up in a space where we were so unaware of race in our household that it didn't occur to me that those things actually existed. And I think I benefited from that.
Absolutely. That you don't see that. Yes, I mean, because some people will be like, you know what, girl, wake up, wake up. But, you also have to have that part of you where just like, look, I'm going to do this anyway. This is me. These are my qualifications. This is how I was brought up. You just don't, you can't. I mean, that's a lot to carry.
It is, but I mean, I want you to think for a second what that really means as a Black woman in America, right? Mm-hmm. That I'm making decisions and movements and things with the understanding that my race is not holding me back, but not in a salty, roll my neck kind of way, the naive stance that like, that's just not a thing. My race is never going to hold me back.
Right.
And I benefited from that. And to think that I was going to have a harder time giving that to my kids than the luggage was like, well, hold on a second.
Yeah.
I really can't do that. We're supposed to do that? Mm-mm. I can't do that. And even when we travel back and forth now, I notice that I ask them to carry that baggage a little bit.
Okay.
My youngest is 10 now, but I remember we went back when he was 8, and it was very much, we were in a store and it was just like, there were no Black people. Oh. We were in a town where I was like, I have not seen a Black person in like 3 days. So I think it's just us. And we went to a store, and you kind of could, it's like, you're kind of like a giraffe.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah.
And so we were there, and my son lives a very free life here. He's been here now for half his life. He doesn't know
anything.
Right.
But
so he's in the store, he's picking up things, he's looking at them, he's putting them back. He's kind of like, and I was like, ooh, don't touch anything because of that thing, right? If you're a Black person in a store and you touch something, they think you're trying to steal it.
Yes.
So you have to be kind of overtly, I put this back. You all saw that, right? And you can't make any, there's all these rules, right? Like you can't touch something and then reach for your pockets.
No.
Like, and if there's just all these little,
that's a lot.
Right? And we don't realize that we live with this entire different playbook.
We do.
That dictates every space we're in, every job we have, every relationship we're in. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And we went back and I did that thing where I was like, and I felt so bad. I felt so terrible because I was like, here we are. Here's a kid that I allow freedom. I've taught him that he is entitled to this.
And then you're now pulling it back.
And telling him to carry the luggage. Telling him to carry the baggage. Is that the life I want for my children?
No. Interesting.
It reframed everything very interesting. It like I said, Tony and I have had multiple conversations. Are we staying? Is this it? And from the very beginning, he's very much been like, I'm not leaving, but I will if you ask me to. And so
Okay.
now it becomes me like, well, is this the right space? Is this the right place? Do we have opportunities for the children? Are we making too big a sacrifice? Do we
Right.
have financial means to continue this? How are we working? And in all of those conversations, that hand in the store is always in the back of my mind, because it's just like, is that opportunity worth the freedom? And I have to ask myself with every time we're asking,
Right.
is that opportunity enough to exchange the freedom?
Freedom
The freedom to touch something on a store shelf.
is, I mean, yeah.
It just, and I know here the conversation is like, America, you're free and you have so much opportunity. And it's like, yes, but don't touch something on the store shelf and then touch a pocket.
You'll find out. You'll quickly find out how free you are.
It's not a freedom. And I am challenged all the time when I go back to the States and I interact with thought leaders and cohorts and colleagues, to remember again that it's American freedom and not true freedom.
Yes.
And it's different.
So your children, you said one is 10, your youngest is 10.
10, 15, 22, 24.
Okay. So the two that are here, 10 and 15.
Yes.
How have they been able to assimilate?
It's interesting. The youngest one, he's 10, so he's been here half his life. He is the mayor of our community.
Everybody knows him.
We went to go get a cab the other day, and the cab driver was like, I know you, you're the one on the bike and the skates. And I was like, I mean, the cab driver driving down the street knows who you are? What? He's out. He lives that life that we lived when we were kids, where it's like you go outside and when the street lights come on, you better be back. He is outside. He has friends in the neighborhood. Adults know who he is. People will redirect. Sometimes people will come back and be like, you saw him the other day. He did this. I'll be like, oh, thank you.
Good. Okay, because we lose that. We do lose that village,
right,
taking care of our young.
But it very much feels like village for him. My 15-year-old, this is not half his life. So he remembers what life was before.
Yeah.
And I think he is more acutely aware of the exchange.
Okay.
He was in clubs and athletics and all of those kind of things that are much harder to duplicate or replicate
here. It's not as transferable, is it?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think he feels a loss of that. But because of his age, he's also acutely aware of the baggage and the politics and all the other things. So he's more capable of seeing that. And what I think is actually the most interesting is that he now looks at the world globally instead of just the American isolationism.
Right.
He'll say things to me sometimes. He's like, oh yeah, I met a friend and we want to go meet at the Taj Mahal next year.
Oh.
And I'll be like,
wow. Interesting.
You're wahoo? And he's like, yeah, he's going to be traveling with his family. They're going to India. So we were like, we should be at the Taj Mahal. And I'm like, okay.
A truly global citizen.
He thinks about college in a universal sense and not just American schools. Or he thinks about vacations in different countries. And so I like that the world is not so small for him.
Yeah.
So it's a different kind of
Sure, he's adapting in a different way.
And I think all of us, I don't want to sugarcoat or give the like, this is all going to be fantastic. You're going to love this. Like, Ghana is not for everybody.
Yeah, and it's a fact. It is real.
It is
there are some things that you have to trade.
Yes.
To have peace of mind.
But that's true anywhere.
Exactly.
I lived in New York City. I lived in Manhattan.
Right.
You trade things to live in that space.
Wow.
And then I moved to the Midwest of Wisconsin and I made a different set of trades, right? Even just within the states.
Right.
Whenever you move, you are making a trade-off.
You have to.
You absolutely are. So there's no vanilla version of, oh, Ghana is the utopia and just come here and life will be fantastic. No, you are still making trades. And you just have to determine if those trade-offs are worth it to you. And I think that's going to be different for everybody. And everybody has to make that call for themselves.
Absolutely. Well, that leads me to my next question. Okay, there must be days that when you feel incredibly powerful, and then there are others, the weight feels real when you're here. What have those constraints or contrasts taught you about your strength?
Do you know what's really, I think one of the things that strikes me the most when I go back and forth is my airport experience. So I go to the airport here in Ghana, and I get here and see Black people, right? And
I love that experience when you just come out.
yeah,
You're just like,
it's like I'm here and I'm going through, I'm talking to people, I'm laughing at everything. And then you fly over and you land in New York. And New York, still kind of good mix of people, but I notice that I start to disappear a little bit. That people stop making eye contact. They don't, it's like, look away, right? Nobody's looking at you. And when I first go back, and I go back a couple times a year to work, I'll notice that I very much am up and looking at people and making eye contact and smiling, and nobody's looking at me. And it's like, okay, it's like you're not even here. And then I fly to Texas, and different demographic, but I disappear a little bit more. Right now, I can see that there's so many fewer Black people that sometimes I'm at a store and I'll be like,
where are you? Where are y'all?
I was in one city speaking and I did not see Black people for 2 days. Like there was not a Black person at the hotel, at the conference hall. There was no, and I went to Walmart thinking, surely at a Walmart, there's gonna be, and I could not find one. And I was leaving, and as I was walking out, I saw a Black man coming in, and I was like, hi! I thought, he's gonna think I'm absolutely insane.
I would feel exactly the same.
And so I think when we have this kind of conversation, right, about about how you are in these spaces and the trade-offs, I think about that. And then I think about the lights going off here, right? And it's like, I'll be working and be like, it just happened the other day where I was like, ah. You know what though?
Yeah, we move.
I'm gonna go outside and see some Black people.
Yes, yes.
So yes, there's challenges in both spaces. And it just depends on you.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I answered the question well, but.
No, I mean, I think what I really took from that is the airport experience. I mean, because here you're taught to, greet, at least make eye contact, or I mean, minimum greeting.
Right.
Minimum.
I mean, like you
don't need to throw yourself into full-blown conversation or anything like that.
Yes.
But the fact that, or even just like, a smile or a nod, and that does kill me when I go to the UK. I don't go as often. There's probably, I just lost my mum, so I'm a bit like, I don't know whether I want to be going there as much as I would want to. However, when I was there, I would even, the tube, you go into the trains and everything, and, at least want to just make eye contact, and it's just zilch. It's nothing.
You're invisible.
And I feel that you do lose your power. You really do lose your power, because if you're not acknowledged, then,
you're not
also
even seen. And it speaks to like that mental understanding of self, right? I'm not even important enough to be seen.
Yes.
And that just kills me.
It is.
It literally is like, and then I have this moment where, I have walked into I walked into convention centers to be the speaker, right? Can I help you? Oh yes, I'm here for the such and such conference. Oh okay, the main entrance is, yes, I'm going to be speaking. You're speaking? Yep, I'm speaking. Yep. And you just have this thing where you're like,
and you could just tell the tone.
is it because
yes,
I thought this jacket looked nice when I put it on this morning. What else could this possibly be about? And I had a very interesting conversation with a Caucasian woman who does the same kind of thing that I do. And her comment was, surely you must be racist, thinking everything is about race.
She said that.
And I paused, and I think that it's so emblematic of how we are made to feel in our Western spaces. Right?
Wow.
It's not because of it's not it at all. But don't forget, the service entrance is in the back. Like this kind of, do you know what I'm saying? Like completely. You're not allowed to acknowledge that this could possibly be the reason, but you have to live with the consequences of that being the reason.
Yes. Gosh.
I like being in a space where if someone's mean to me, it's not because I was Black. I know that for sure because everybody's Black. The bank man is Black. He's giving loans. The person
completely.
Everybody's Black. Completely. And so it allows you to not have to live in that.
Wow.
That box, that space, that whatever the word is for the facial expression I just
yes,
made.
I know.
Whatever that
It says
is,
it.
right?
It says it all. I don't think our audience knows what it is that you exactly do in the US. So yes. So if you can tell us what you do.
Yes.
And then we'll also talk about expat life as well, because it's an amazing platform.
Yes, I speak largely about how to teach students with disabilities. So that's kind of like my niche, but I'm doing more and more in the space of AI. And I know we didn't get a chance to have that conversation, but I'm very excited about what AI can do to the landscape here in terms of the continent at large and how it can rethink its frame.
Very much so.
In the global community. So I'm very excited about all of that, but that's largely what I speak about is teaching techniques, implementation of AI in education, and it brings me into a lot of different types of spaces.
Particular to students with special needs?
For AI, it's AI in education at large.
Okay.
It's kind of this idea of building inclusion for all learners. And I think that technology can be one of those tools that we use to get there.
It's a game changer.
It's going to be way more than that. Yeah. And America is kind of behind I know as much innovation as is going on there, you would think America's at the forefront of this technology, but in terms of its population at large, it really isn't.
I think I just realized that, yes.
People are kind of resistant to this AI idea and want to put the genie back in the bottle, and you're not going to be able to. But I think that positions places like Ghana, places on the continent here,
can really
to really leapfrog in ways that can redefine kind of the economy and the productivity and the employment levels, and there's so many different ways that it can impact this that I'm really hoping that
we leverage on that.
We build that leverage and quickly so that we aren't behind the people who are already behind.
It's true, because we are already behind in a lot of sense, with regards to whether there's manufacturing or, the economy. I mean,
Expat life. I'm a huge fan. I subscribe. Amazing. Please, can you share with the audience? You did a little bit with regards to starting to document in 2019, but can you just tell us a bit more about the platform and how it's just grown and you have loyal fans?
It was funny when we first started making videos. It was honestly like, people are probably not going to watch this. It's probably not that interesting. So when we got to our first 1,000, we were like, I guess it is interesting. And we didn't really it literally it was never our primary focus. It was one of those things where it's like, we got to make a video this week. We should probably go do that. We just wanted to kind of authentically have a space where people could get information. When we were getting ready to move, I went out on YouTube and I was like, let me find out. And there was like this very glitz and glamour kind of take on things. And I was like, well, that's not
us.
That's not us. And then there was this like poverty stricken, drinking out of the river,
just
where it's like
the two extremes.
Right. It's like, where's the middle of the normal people route? And so that was really the space that I wanted to crawl into. And I think Tony really authentically wanted to just share that feeling that he'd had of like, it didn't look like what we learned in the book, so you should see something different. And so that really was where it spawned from. And we've just had people come on board with the platform, excuse me, and be loyal watchers. We ended up on a reality show coming from America, and
please speak about that, because I've been hearing so much about.
We in the very beginning, it was very much like, for us, no request turned down. It was like, anybody reached out like, would you like to do an interview? We would. We did an interview on somebody's channel. They had like 8 subscribers. And I think their most watched video had like 300 views. And then we came on and it was like, that video had like 10,000 views. But we were like, you asked? Well, yes, we'll come. Right. And it's just because the point of the endeavor was to spread information, right? Like to connect to people so they know they have options. And so that was very much in line. And eventually someone reached out, was like, oh, we might be doing a reality show. And we were like, okay, well, can we get on a conference call? And we're like, sure. So we got on a conference call, we talked to these people, and then didn't hear from them for months. So we were like,
Okay, maybe.
And, okay. And then sometime after that, we're like, so can we get on another call? And we're like, who's this again?
Wow.
All those calls ended up on the show. We didn't know, like even from
really?
early, yes.
They really documented from way
They
back.
really did. And so they were looking for families that were making this journey and wanted to kind of document it. And we said, okay. We didn't know at the time that we were going to end up kind of being cast as like the OGs, like the wise guides, the support features.
Yes.
In terms of this journey for people who'd never been to the continent before.
Right.
And that was a good space for us, I think.
Yes, that is.
But we filmed with the Discovery Channel. They got bought out to HBO. HBO got bought out to Cinemax. And so there was a bit of a delay for the show coming out. And it did just come out. It's out on TLC now.
Brilliant.
TLC Africa is running it now. And I think it's just really exciting to see, to know that I've helped people to see a different Africa.
Honestly.
In any capacity. So that is not the glitz and is not the river water.
Yes, it's like just regular folk coming to, to seek, well, it's not so much greener pastures, but like, just
Freedom.
wanting to be free, just wanting our children to, immerse themselves in the culture and, school here. And, of course, you're making money. You need to find work.
Yes.
And make money and, have an occupation, but then also meet like-minded people.
Right.
That you hope to, change the hearts and minds of people in the diaspora.
Well, and so we kind of do that twofold. So we started the channel when we're here on the ground. Quarterly, we try to schedule some kind of meetup so that people who are here with us can meet each other, have kind of opportunities to share ideas, talk about schools and builders and, businesses. And then also we started offering tours because people literally would reach out and be like, I'm coming into the airport. Can you pick me up? And Tony was like, yeah. So he took our car and he went to the airport and picked up somebody he'd never met before.
Really?
Literally how it started. And he came back and he's like, well, that was kind of fun. And I was like, oh, okay. And then somebody else was like, hey, I'm coming into town. Can you take me to the slave castles? And Tony's like, yeah.
Just like that.
So that literally was the beginning. I was like, well, if you're going to do this, you should probably make it a business.
Absolutely.
And so now we do full-on tours. He had a group of 53 Asians in town doing a tour. He has taken out fraternity groups and family reunions and
that's amazing.
And multi-generational tour groups. Like he's really enjoying this opportunity that he's kind of carved out where it's like, this is what it could be like.
It also helps him to immerse himself into, different cultural, aspects of Ghana.
He loves that. Like,
he's learned so
he loves that.
much.
That's the part he loves too.
I know, he's like, whoa, this
He
is wonderful.
He kind of gets to, he likes to be out and doing, and so that really feeds into his personality and his strengths.
Brilliant.
And the business continues to kind of take shape and evolve. Like I said, it was just a guy calling saying, can you pick me up from the airport, to kind of where we are now. But we cannot advocate enough the idea of trying to get Blacks in the West to come and just see.
Yes,
Because because it changes your understanding of who you are and what it is that you are permitted to be. And I think that we can't, like, there's no end to how far we want to spread that message. Like, we just need to get as many of us to feel that.
Come and see it.
Just one time.
Once you see it, you feel it, and then once you feel it,
It
it just resonates.
right?
It doesn't leave you.
It doesn't leave, and it will impact how you walk in your daily life. Even if you never move here, even if you never come back to the
100%.
continent, that's taken root.
Yeah, that
it's not going to go away.
Confidence.
Yes.
Because whenever, when we go to the UK, often enough, my husband would say, because the weather isn't great there.
Oh, I know, yes.
Quite miserable, it's quite grey. If it's not raining, it's snowing. If it's not snowing, then it's raining and snowing, and it's windy all at the same time. It's
it's not my fave.
So he loses the ability, because the weather is a bit drab and the buildings are so grey, he loses the ability to actually just look up and just feel inspired about something, Me, on the other hand, I love the heat. I know it gets sticky and I know it gets really hot and uncomfortable, but the fact that it's always sunny, the fact that,
sun rises and sets at the same time.
Honestly, I'm okay with sweating my beads of
It's
sweat.
not that bad.
I'm okay with it, but just the fact that I'm able to just exhale and just be outside when I want to be. And, you know, of course, getting in that vitamin D, just, you know, making sure that the children are able to play outside. And,
but you need that. You don't know, you cannot know where you are unless you know where you've been. And you need both of those things to know where you're going to.
Absolutely.
So it's like, even if you're never going to move here, you never, you know, this has not even been on your radar, it's okay.
Yeah.
Come.
Just
and I think Ghana is just one of those places that is a great starter country.
It is. It's the starter pack.
It is. It really is. It's like enough of the Western that you don't have to learn another language. Like you can feel like it's safe. There's so many benefits that it's such a good starter country. Come. Just come.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, you know, my husband's from East Africa, and it has a completely different feel,
different vibe, different everything.
And I love it. I do love Kenya. I mean, I love it. At times I'm like, oh, let's push to the east a little bit more.
Start building your house now.
I know. Oh, don't worry. I'm sorting myself out. But it's also, you know, very inviting for tourists, because of course they've got the safari and you know the terrain is very, very different. But with regards to like the friendliness and the culture, I mean, you just can't beat it.
Yeah.
Just Ghana,
And I know a lot of Kenya is definitely top of the list. South Africa tends to be the top of the list. But when you start to compare the experience that you're going to have in those spaces, I definitely think Ghana is just. I understand why those places are appealing, but I think Ghana gives you that whole experience that you can get in a week. You know, like in a vacation.
But this, you know, you've got the beach, you know, you've got the mountains.
You can get up and do the rainforest. You can get it's all you can get it all.
The north, with the terrain is very, very different.
Yes.
You know, Kumasi, I mean, that's a vibe in itself. The Ashanti
completely.
region.
You go to Tamale, completely. You head out to Volta, it's totally different. You head to Cape Coast, and you're like different vibe. Yes, and you can get all of that.
Yes.
In one vacation.
Yes, it's true.
And I think that's why there's so much benefit to that. So we've been building that platform, offering the tours, trying to keep the diasporan meetups going on as well. We were on the reality show. We are continuing to make content.
Fantastic.
And all of this is our side hustle. So we're like on top of that.
That's a huge side hustle.
Yes, still trying to write books and teach and do all of the things that I'm doing. And it's kind of like
we salute you.
But that I have the freedom to explore all of those things for myself.
Yes,
is not
that may not be the case. That may not have been the case.
I don't think I would have had the space in the U.S. In terms of the grind is so.
It's different.
The grind is so much. I just don't know that I would have gotten.
Yeah, this environment affords you to have different fingers in different pies.
Yes.
You know, I still look good. It still look good.
You know, thank you.
Oh, well, that's amazing. That's amazing. What do you think the world often gets wrong when they talk about Africa?
What do they get wrong?
Yeah.
Do you know, if you were playing a board game with the entire globe on the board, and you had to pick the place that you wanted to use for your piece, you would pick Africa. You would pick Africa every time. Because it has the access, it has the workforce, it has the resources, the raw materials. Like you can't operate the global economy, the global output without Africa. And I think people forget that. They think it's some throwaway, some forget about it. But it comes from a lack of awareness that all of the stuff
stems from here,
comes from here. and I think that is one of those things where it's like, even Blacks in the world forget that they're connected to the homeland that is the source. And we just need that gentle reminder. So I think that's what we get wrong, is that this idea that it's like, no, all the stuff comes from here. I'm thinking about what Ghana produces. Natural resources that are here in this little teeny tiny country in Africa.
Yeah.
I would pick that for my board game piece.
Yes, I know. Just like, okay, look, this is I'm leveraging. I'm sitting here. You know, this is where it all stems from. This is
shea butter, cocoa, lithium, petrol, young workforce, gold, ocean access,
magnesium,
gold.
aluminium.
I mean, like, why would you not pick this place?
Yeah. Again, it's that conditioning. It's that conditioning, and unfortunately, it starts from knee high.
So I think that's kind of like where that wrong end of the stick kind of happens.
Okay. So when you look around now that you're here in Ghana, and you look at the people, you know, the zest for life, you know, the innovation that we're trying to bring, the spirit, what excites you about the future of Ghana? What excites you?
You know, I'm excited and worried in equal measure.
Okay.
But I think that's true in every space that I think that's just how I approach things. I think that there is so much potential here, but that we're still trying to chase a colonial carrot. I hope that makes sense. That we are still framing success in terms of what we were told success was from 75 years ago or 100 years ago. And that we've never for one second thought, is this the right carrot? And who's holding the stick? So,
that we should look at first. Who is holding that stick?
Right. Yeah. And so I think that the direction that we choose to move in right now there's a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that we can collectively here kind of say, let's put down the carrot and let's carry our own stick.
Yes.
And move in a direction that is different than what we have also here kind of been conditioned. Yes. Because people forget that Ghana is still living in the remnants of colonialism as well.
I mean, very much so.
And so I'm hoping, that's kind of where I'm hopeful, is that like, we're going to see a shift. And again, because the population is so young, I think that in youth comes change.
Yes.
And so...
Yes, that irritation.
Yes.
Like, okay, look, this isn't working. Let's switch it up. Let's find other means and ways.
Yes, and I don't know that the old ways, in this moment, I don't think anyone's old ways will continue to work 20 years down the road. I think we are all at a pivotal moment, no matter where you are. And
like
so I think
we just need to break things down and start again.
But here it really is the carrot's got to go, and we need to carry the stick. So that's what I'm hopeful, is that we can see that change.
And I think, as an example with regards to that, the whole USAID, Trump, pulling away that carrot from many developing nations. I mean, it made me realize how dependent nations were on funding from USAID. And now it's just like, well, we're going to have to figure things out ourselves.
But when you think about the impact of USAID, as long as USAID has been on the ground in different spaces, how do we actually know that they've been successful? Like, what is the measure of their success? And so here we are again, whether by choice or by force, in a moment where we are going to make the choice into which direction we go into. If Africa decides that Africa wants to be its own support network, it can. The materials to do all of the things are here. The workforce to do all of the things are here. The science, the knowledge, the thought, the people who are doing the thought are actually from here. Like,
they are.
Why do we not say that USAID, thank you?
Yes.
Now let's maybe it's
things out ourselves.
USAF. I mean, like AFAID. Let's reimagine what that's going to look like, because I think, again, who's carrying the stick?
Yes.
And why do we want that carrot?
Yes. Yeah. That agenda and that conditioning, I think, has been in existence for far too long.
Yes.
So I do hope that, I'm reading, and seeing that, okay, Ghana and other countries are now really trying to navigate, and that's how it should be.
And they absolutely should.
Burkina Faso, with their president.
Don't get Tony started. He is like, he wants the T-shirt and the button. Like, he's...
Yes, honestly, he's very inspiring, a very inspiring young man.
But there are so many, and they're all kind of speaking the same. We're singing the same song together, right? Yeah. Which is, the continent has the capacity. And now we need the leadership, and we need that leadership right now. Yeah, it can't wait. And so let's hope, that's where I'm hopeful that we are going to see that shift.
If you could have a quiet conversation with yourself, with your younger self, just before you're about to take the journey, what would you like her to know?
Chill. Chill. That would be it. Every decision that we make, you always feel like this is the thing that's going to change. Oh, like, if I make the wrong decision, my entire life will, right? We get like so
caught up.
And honestly, like, when was the last time you made a decision and you couldn't make it work out? I mean, there have been some questionable outfit choices, but like, even then, but honestly, when you make a decision and you decide, like, the decision was actually the hardest part, was deciding it. Now that you've decided, you're going to make it work.
Yeah.
And I think I have to go back to my younger self and say, just like, chill out.
It's not.
Choose, and if you didn't like the choice, you can always go back. There's no, if you made a mistake, it's okay. We learned a lesson, and thank you for that lesson. Now let's go make another choice.
Yeah, failure is part of it, isn't it? It
and
really is part of that.
we are so failure averse, and I feel like that holds us back from so many things. So just chill and do it. Just try it.
Right now, in this moment, what's giving you hope?
Ooh, I think so many things give me hope. I am very hopeful in the capacity for technology right now. And I think that just feeds into my professional passion. But I'm also really hearing people start to say, I think there's more out there for me. And that just makes me excited because that's really been the message from the get-go for this 5 years is you have options. And that's all. Like, just that single message has kind of been our driver, is that you have options. You should come out and see what those are. And so that kind of seeing that more people are like,
okay, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone.
Right, I have options. I'm like, yes, that's what I want you. I'm like, yes, you have options. That's what I want you to hear. So that's what kind of gets it.
And just to close,
yes,
please complete this sentence for me. Africa is not
monolithic.
And Africa is
a sea of opportunity waiting for you.
Thank you so much for having us, Ayo Jones. It's been amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.